Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're very sorry for the small delay, let's say, but I'm glad that everyone here has discovered the chat and is leaving a lot of feedbacks, and we have a lot of questions already. So you're very welcome today. My name is Raquel, and if you haven't heard of me on the previous webinars, and if you haven't heard about Ironhack, this is the first time that you're here. We are a global tech school. We have bootcamps on data analytics, UX UI design, web development, and of course, our newest bootcamp, cybersecurity, which is powered by Cybint. And we have here two specialists today, let's say. As you know, the webinar today is about cybersecurity. So I'm going to explain you a little bit about what's going on today, about the tool that we're using here in Crowdcast, since it's the first time for some of you. It's the first time that you're using this tool. And I'm going to explain you a little bit how this is going to go. And yeah, let me know if you can hear fine, if you have any troubles with the connection and anything. But, well, let me know in the chat, okay? So first things first about Crowdcast. Again, I see that you discovered the chat. In here, you can leave your comments. I'd love to know where you're from. I know that we have a lot of people from all over the world, very different time zones. There's a lot of echo. There's a lot of echo for everyone or not? Because if there is, okay, wait a minute. Let me try and remove my phones. How is it now? Is it better? Okay, perfect. All right, I'm sorry for this. Glad that you told me. Perfect. In any case, if you have any troubles hearing and you feel like you're the only one, refresh the page. Sometimes it can happen. So I see that you discovered the chat. Perfect. Tell me where you're from. I see we have a lot of people from Paris. Hi, Oliver. I'm talking to you from Lisbon. They're talking from Tel Aviv. Am I right? Both of you? Besides the chat, we have here an Ask a Question section. I see that some of you have already saw this section yet. That's perfect. And we have a few questions about the course that I can tackle in the end if you want. And this is where you can leave your questions about the webinar itself. Even though you have the chat to make some comments and leave some feedback. Portugal, amazing. New York, wow. Okay. Even though you have the chat to leave some comments in the Ask the Questions is where you can leave your questions, because during the webinar, Aviel will be doing the content sharing, let's say, but Yuval here, which is called Dean here in this account, she will be answering all your questions in the chat. So during the webinar, if you have questions, she can answer them all. And in the end of the webinar, if we have time, we will open a Q&A for all of you to answer your question, for you to make your questions, and for us to answer live about cybersecurity, about the webinar, and even about the bootcamp. Well, this is it for the rules. If you need anything, please say in the chat if you're not hearing. And last but not least, some people asked, this webinar is recorded, so if you feel like you need to review later or you couldn't keep up with any parts, you can always do that. It is through this link, but you will be receiving a follow-up email so you have everything stored. Okay? From Paris, wow, we have a lot of people from all over the place. That's amazing. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the word to Aviel since he's the one doing the webinar today.
Thank you, Raquel. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to see everyone. So first of all, thank you for joining. I'm glad to see everyone from all over the world. I'm going to talk a bit about cybersecurity today. Ironhack is launching the new bootcamp powered by Cybint. And we're going to talk a bit about cybersecurity, about why you should be interested in cybersecurity, and of course, showing a demo, which I think everyone is waiting for it. Hopefully it will exceed your expectations. So let's talk a bit about cybersecurity. Can everyone see my screen?
Oh, good.
So cybersecurity, we're talking about cybersecurity, but a bit before that, I would like to present, first of all, Yuval, which will be helping me today. She will be answering the questions and everyone in the chat. So feel free to ask questions. We'll try and answer everything as soon as possible and with the best answers as we can. Yuval is a former senior SOC analyst, which has specialties in cybersecurity and training. My name is Aviel. I'm a former ethical hacker. I managed ethical hackers, red team activities all over the world, and I was a cybersecurity consultant for the last 7 years. And let's start with defining what is cybersecurity, because this is something we often hear on the news. Cybersecurity, it's something that you see online, you see on the news. Everyone is talking about cybersecurity. And of course, Ironhack is opening its first cybersecurity bootcamp, which is awesome. But what is actually cybersecurity? So the dictionary phrase description of cybersecurity is the practice of protecting systems, networks, and programs from digital attacks, which is basically, very generic term. But what does it actually mean? This means that, let's say that you're buying, let's say, a new couch from Amazon. So first of all, you open your computer, of course, then you log into the Amazon website, you order something, then you get an order ID, you can see it in the email, then you actually get the order itself. Basically, this whole process is mostly digital today, and we should stop for a minute and think about why this process is so, let's say, sensitive. First of all, you enter a website, which is Amazon, right? Are you really sure that the website that you entered is Amazon? And if not, maybe it's a fake website. Then let's talk a bit about the payment, right? So you're putting your credit card number, maybe your PayPal account. This is something which is highly sensitive. If someone steals it, you can actually buy stuff on your behalf. You don't want anyone to do that, of course. And if it's companies and organizations, there are transactions which can get to millions and billions of dollars, and no one wants their money to get stolen, of course. And cybersecurity is basically all of these things together, protecting your data, organizational data, and basically trying to keep everything as private as possible, trying to keep everything online all the time, because once something goes wrong, the whole process actually becomes a mess, and then you can't do whatever you do. Because if we're talking about the digital world, if something goes wrong, let's say your mobile phone doesn't work, basically you can't live without it today. So that's why cybersecurity is so important, and that's why everyone is talking about it today. Because without having the ability to protect everything that we have digitally today, basically we can't do anything. We can't even get out of the house and get a bus. And now we're going to talk a bit about what are you actually going to protect against, because when going and being a cybersecurity expert means that you're protecting yourself and your organization from something. First of all, we will talk a bit about unauthorized data. This means that hackers don't have access to something, let's say your credit card number, but they actually want to get that, right? They want to see your credit card number, they want to see your username and password, they want to get into databases with a lot of information, and they really want to get this data, mostly for financial reasons. Of course, you can steal money, you can sell this data on the dark web and on a lot of places and get money for it. This is the main motive for hackers, but not only. Hackers also have reputation, as you know, and actually hackers want to be known. It's funny because usually people think about hackers as people with hoodies, but actually hackers really want people to know who they are. That's why they do such big activities. We want people to know who they are. The second one is destroying sensitive information. Well, you have your phone, right? And you basically don't want anyone to start removing photos you have. And, photos you have are something which is pretty sensitive. But when we're talking about big organizations, let's say Amazon, for example, if someone manages to destroy Amazon's server farm, right? That's catastrophic. You see, it might cost billions of dollars and even more to fix that. This is something that no company wants to have. The third point is about extortion of financial resources. We talked a bit about stealing credit card numbers and stealing, financial data as bank accounts. But actually, extortion of financial resources can also be a bit different. For example, as you can see on the right, Garmin is a very big company all over the world. They have watches. They have they have a lot of sport equipment, which is online. And basically, a few months ago, they were hacked, and hackers encrypted all of their data and asked for money to get their data back. This means that none of their servers were eligible to work unless they pay a hacker money. And according to some resources, it's still very unknown, but Garmin actually might have paid millions of dollars to get their servers back, which is crazy, as you can see. And interrupted business of processes. This means that company A and company B are competitors, and company A maybe want to hack company B in order to make them not work and get more customers, or maybe get them better reputation, and then customers will go from company B to company A. So it's some sort of a business competition between companies. These things really happen. From my experience as not just a hacker, but also from the defender side, I've seen a lot of companies that were hacked by another company. This is something that actually happens a lot, and most of the times people don't even know that, but it happens, and it's really bad. And now we're going to talk a bit about who's going to protect this data. Well, hopefully you. That's why you're here. And we're going to talk a bit about the roles. So the first role is a SOC analyst. SOC analyst is basically the heart of all the cybersecurity department. That's because the SOC analyst is in charge of getting all of the events from all of the systems and trying to see if all of these events indicate a specific malicious activity. Let's say you get a specific event from a server, which seems weird, and then you get 2 events from another server, which also seem weird, and then you connect the dots, 1 and 2, and then you can actually see the bigger picture and understand that you are currently under a cyber attack, and you must alert all of the relevant people and act immediately. That's why the SOC analysts are the heart of everything in terms of cybersecurity, and that's why this is the main role that you will be taught in this bootcamp. Actually, you will be taught how to learn and be a SOC analyst, how to detect events, how to prevent events, and actually how to really see the bigger picture in terms of seeing all of the systems and all of the networks together, and seeing how you can connect the dots and actually specifically focus on an attack and actually finding it in such a big network. This is a very critical role, and hopefully, 3 or 4 months from now, you will be SOC analyst somewhere, and I would be very glad to hear so. The next role that is very interesting role is the digital forensics and incident response expert. This means that once a SOC analyst has actually found something malicious, let's say a hacker inside the network, he calls the digital forensics and incident response expert, and this guy should actually come and treat the event as is. This means that he actually needs to chase the hacker inside the network, find the dots, and actually go inside and fight with the hacker online as we speak. That means that installing software and trying to find specific stuff and kick him out from specific places. This is real work. This is really, hand by hand and talking with the hackers and actually fighting with them inside the network. This is a very interesting role that you can also participate in once you finish the bootcamp. The next role is penetration tester. This is a specific role that I did a few years. This is actually hacking for good purpose. This means that specific company hires you to hack it and then find vulnerabilities and tell you, how did you hack? This means that, let's say, for example, Amazon asks me to hack its website. I managed to hack it somehow. To be honest, I didn't, but let's say I did. Then they actually pay me because I help them, and then we come and fix it together. And then I can help them from the hacker perspective. This means that I'm a white hat hacker. This is how they call it. This is a very interesting role. This role is a bit more complicated, but we have actually an ethical hacking course inside the bootcamp, so you will learn how to hack. And maybe along this presentation, we'll tell you a bit about why this should be interesting. Because, you know, thinking like a hacker can actually help you defend from hackers. There are a lot of more roles which are, you know, in the cybersecurity area, but these are the main roles that are actually interesting, and we'll mostly focus on the bootcamp on SOC analysts and digital forensics and incident response experts. These are the main roles that the bootcamp will prepare you for, and hopefully, and I really hope that you should be part of this. Now we're going to talk a bit about the talent shortage. This means that in the cybersecurity field, according to resources from 2020, there are about 4 million roles that are unemployed. This means that 4 million roles are waiting for people to come and join, and they can't find people because there is not enough people in cybersecurity. This means that companies actually are willing to pay you as much as possible just to get and start working from them. More than 1 million roles in North America, more than 2.5 million roles in Asia Pacific and Asia. Also, more than 500,000 roles in Europe are just waiting for people to come and join, because this specific topic of cybersecurity has a very big talent shortage. As you can see, I've gathered some newsletters about the shortage of cybersecurity, but it's not just about missing people, it's also missing quality people. This is why we try to create the best bootcamp as possible. So once you finish it, you can actually be employed and be the best SOC analyst as possible. Of course, as a junior SOC analyst, because you know, it takes experience as well. But we hope to get you to the best level and to get the best job as possible and as fast as possible, which is one of the interesting things is the bootcamp, because it's only 3 months in the morning, and if you're taking the evening course, it's about 6 months. It's a bit different. And a little bit about the damages of cybersecurity, and specifically about hackers. So a few days ago, actually, I think a week ago, British Airways were fined £20 million over a data breach. This means that the European GDPR regulation has fined the British Airways company with over £20 million, which is a lot of money. And actually, it would probably be more if it wasn't for COVID-19 and, you know, struggling businesses. But as you can see, this is a huge amount of money that they need to pay. Do you know why? Because they were hacked and they didn't defend themselves good enough, and their data was breached. This is crazy. This is just amazing, and I really hope that companies as British Airways and other companies would really defend themselves better in order to actually not be fined, and in order to protect our data, which is under, you know, under servers and everywhere. Another one is Barnes & Noble that had a data breach a few months ago, and actually customers' emails, addresses, and transaction history, which is financial data, were leaked. This means that actually if one of you bought something from their website, you should take a look at this. And now we're going to show the demo. So first of all, I want to talk to you a bit about anti-malware before trying to talk about bypassing. So anti-malware is the professional name of the antivirus software, which is practically the same, but this is how we call it in the industry. Anti-malware software is something that you install on your computer. Today, it even comes as default on most computers, and it actually helps your computer in protecting you and your data against malware, which is practically viruses. Some viruses want to destroy your data. Some viruses want to steal your passwords, and some viruses or malicious software want to do other stuff like, I don't know, see what you type on your keyboard, maybe take print screens of stuff you see, maybe see your bank account, there are a lot of purposes for malware, but there's only one thing you need to do with them: remove them. So we're going to talk a bit about how to bypass the anti-malware software, and I'm going to show you some methods and practices that hackers use almost every day to bypass these software. But before we try and bypass anything, we need to understand how it works. So let's think about the anti-malware software as police detectives. Okay, this is something that can be easily understood. Let's say there's a police detective and someone calls him and tells him, look, on the other street, there is someone who looks like me, let's say, for example, with a purple t-shirt, a watch, and glasses, and you need to catch him because he stole my, let's say, bag. So it will be much easier for the policeman to catch me if he understands that I have glasses, I have a watch, and a purple t-shirt, right? Makes sense. But if I remove my watch, maybe change my glasses and put on a red coat, it will be probably harder for the policeman to catch me, maybe even impossible if he has never seen me before. So this is kind of the rat race between the anti-malware software and the malware themselves. So there are a lot of malware that try and look a bit different, so the anti-malware software can see them, because the anti-malware software is not as smart as we think it is, because some of them are very mature, but some of them act in a very specific way. This means that, let's say someone told the anti-malware software to find a very specific file, which looks very specific. Let's say it has an ID, okay? So if this malware has an ID, and I change the malware a bit, it will have a different ID, and then it won't be able to find that, exactly as I removed my glasses, or basically, trying to look like someone else. As you can see, first of all, I'm easy to detect because they know how I look. Then maybe I put on a hat. Actually, that's not me. That's someone else. And then I'm very hard to detect once, I have a beard and glasses and a hat. And basically, it's very hard to find me. So what we're going to do is show you a demo that we're doing a live presentation on a malware. We'll see how it gets caught first, and then we'll show you how it doesn't get caught or gets caught much less. So first of all, it's very important to understand and to say that everything that I do right now, first of all, is only for demonstration purposes, and it's being done on a safe environment, somewhere not on my computer, in a virtual machine that simulates a computer. This is not my computer, and it's very dangerous to intercept and work with malware. So please don't try this at home unless you're 100% sure that you know what you're doing. And if not, then ask someone for help. This is very important, so please don't do it unless you're 100% sure. Maybe after the boot camp, you can do it and do it well. So I'm going to connect to my virtual machine. Virtual machine, as I told you before, is a computer which acts exactly like my laptop, but it's not stored physically on my house or anywhere else. It's stored in somewhere else, and I'm only receiving a virtual connection to it via the internet. Okay, so currently, as you can see, this is my server. You can't really connect to it right now, only I can. And it's dedicated to me. It's not connected to my computer. That means that if I do any harm, it will not harm my computer. And this is very important. So first of all, and now we're going to talk a bit about the malware. So the malware is called Mimikatz. I know, funny name. Actually, it's a malware which is developed by a French cybersecurity expert. So hi to everyone from France. This malware with the Kiwi icon is basically used to steal passwords. I'm going to show you, first of all, that it works. Currently, I'm not doing anything interesting. I just want to make sure that you see that it works and it's okay. It should show my password. Currently, I'm not using a password, so you won't be able to see anything. But if I had a password, you will see it here. So this is a malware. And I'm going to first try and see if specific anti-malware software can actually detect it. And how am I going to do that? With an online tool that is called VirusTotal. Okay, it's a free tool that you can use in order to find if a specific file is malware or not, or maybe it's suspected as a malware. First of all, this tool is free, so you can use it. You can also try it at home if you have a specific file that you're not sure if it's suspicious or not. I will show you how to use it. You can take the malware as it is and just drag and drop it. As you can see, there are 71 engines of malwares, of anti-malware software in this specific VirusTotal website. You can see that some of them are very known. Probably you know Avast and Cybereason, FireEye, Fortinet, Kaspersky is very well known. McAfee, of course, Microsoft. Everyone is here, and basically you can see that almost everyone agreed that this specific file is malicious. And to be honest, it is, so good for them. Here you can see an interesting thing. This is the ID of the file. And to get the ID of the file, we can actually do it ourselves. I'm going to show you how to find the ID of the file that is used for the detection. So I have a tool here, which is called hash my files. Hashing is a mathematical function that I'm not going to elaborate on, but it is a feature that is actually used to get a digital fingerprint of a specific file. I don't think that this is the right place to elaborate on this, but as you can see, this is the digital signature of Mimikatz. We've already seen it in the website, but as you can see, this is it. The first thing that we want to do, actually, is change this signature and make the malware look a bit different in order to make it less detectable, okay? So how are we going to do that? First of all, I'm going to use a software called Resource Hacker. But before starting to use the software, I'm going to tell you a bit about what is a file. So a file is a specific, not specific, a file is a lot of lines of code that someone programmed sometime, and then he compiled them. That means that he took all the lines of code, he wrote everything, and then he made it a file that is double clickable. As you can see, you can double click a file and it opens. This means that someone compiled it, and this means that there's a lot of data inside the file, but not only inside the file, because as you can see, the file doesn't have just data. It also has something which is called metadata, which is actually everything which is not the file. It sounds a bit weird, I know, but besides the file and the thing that it's supposed to do, let's say we're talking about my malware, which is called Mimikatz, right? So it's supposed to steal passwords, which is great, but it's not just stealing passwords, because it also has a name, right? And it has an icon, and it also has some properties, as you can see. I'm not sure if you can see, but it has some properties like a name and the file description and a version. So this is something which is not, the file can work without an icon, right? But it's still relevant, because maybe if we change the icon, the file might look a bit different. So Resource Hacker is a tool which helps us modify metadata. So as you can see, we can actually open a lot of stuff here, and we can see a lot of stuff about the file, which is not the lines of code, but all the metadata behind it. So you can see, first of all, the icon. Then you can see other stuff about the icon. And you can see some information, the file name, the product name, whoever wrote it, Benjamin Delphi, the French guy. I really like his work, by the way. He's a great guy, and he has a lot of lectures. So you can go to YouTube later and watch his lectures. He's very interesting. And basically what I want to do right now is just delete everything. This means that the file will only be the lines of code without an icon, without anything else. Okay, so I'm going to delete everything right now. So you want to delete resources? Yes, I want to delete. I also want to delete the version info. As you can see, I will save it right now to make sure that it stays as is. And this is the original file. You can see it with the icon. And this is the non-original file. Let's call it Mimikatz2. And the original one will be called Mimikatz1, just to make sure that I am not confused between them. So Mimikatz2 is a modified version of Mimikatz because it's without an icon. To be honest, it works the same, as you can see. It works exactly the same. It just doesn't have the icon and the metadata. For example, if you go to properties and you go to details, you see there's no description, no product name, no product version, no language, nothing. It's just raw file without anything else. And if we go to the digital signature, the hashing tool, we can actually see that Mimikatz1 and Mimikatz2 are actually different, right? We can actually see that the ID has changed. This means that maybe, just maybe, some anti-malware software will have a hard time finding me because my ID has changed, right? Let's say I'm a criminal. Right now, I put on a hat. Specifically here, I removed my hat because I removed my icon. But let's see what happens when we do that. So, as you can see, we had, first of all, 59. Now we are down to 48. As you can see, this means that 11 engines have not been able to discover me just because I removed the icon. This is crazy. This means that somewhere in the world, an anti-malware right now is not able to find my malware just because it doesn't have an icon. This is crazy. You see how easy it is? And this is just, a specific part. Let's try and go a bit deeper and not just go to the metadata, but go to the file itself. Let's try to actually go and do something with the file. I have a software which is called HXD. It's a hex editor. It actually opens the software, and specifically it opens the Mimikatz, and it opens it as is. As you can see, it's very easy to understand. But to be honest, no one really needs to understand it. The computer needs to understand it, and that's the important part. When I showed this to someone yesterday, he told me, yeah, this is very easy to read, like, whatever. But to be honest, you can see that this is a binary code. This means that the computer can read it, but I can't. It's okay, I don't need to. I just need to find specific places in the file that are not important, so I can change them. The software will still run, okay? But it will be a bit different, okay? I just need to change the ID. So I will try to find specific parts of the code that are not really interesting, and the product will still work. As you can see here, this is an error message. This program cannot be run in DOS mode. This means that maybe, just maybe, if I change the error message, the error will be weird, but the software will still work. So I will try to do that. As you can see, I'm trying to change it a bit. I'm not doing much right now. So the software should still work, but the error message will look weird. I'm okay with that. I really hope you're okay with that as well. And let's now call it Mimikatz number 3. And this is the original file. We'll call it Mimikatz number 2. Great. Now I need to change it. Just a second. Great. So let's try and see the 3 of them right now. And as you can see right now, 3 of them have different IDs. That means that we confuse the system twice, okay? So it's easier for us to confuse the system right now. Let's try and send the file to VirusTotal and see if we manage to lower the detection rate again. It might take like a minute. So if you have questions, this is the time to answer, okay? You can write them in the chat, and Yuval will be happy to help. We might answer some questions and have a Q&A at the end of the webinar, okay? So please be patient. The anti-malware are working, as you can see. Okay, so the results. 59 for the first malware, which is nice. 48 for the second malware, which is also nice. And 40 for the third malware. As you can see, we're almost at 50%. This is, this is insane. And basically, this is a race, because every time I change a bit and a bit and a bit, it will go down and down and down. And basically, I can eventually get to 0. It might take me some time, and I'm sure you don't want to see me work for 3 days. So I think we should stay with the 40 right now. But as you can see, we've gone from almost 90% to almost 50%. And basically, this is how to lower detection rates of anti-malware. This is how you bypass them. Of course, this is a lot of work. And of course, this is something that, again, don't try at home, and really don't try and do malware. And it's not a good place to be, unless you need to experiment about specific malwares and try to understand how do they work. So please don't do this on your own. And the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about is why you should know this. You're not going to be hackers tomorrow, at least not right now. But why do any security experts need to know how hackers work, or actually how to practically hack? This is because from what we believe at Cybint and Ironhack, that if you are a defender, you actually need to understand how does an attacker work in order to prevent this. This means that if you have a hacker that tries to hack your organization, you need to be 2 steps ahead of him. So if he already hacked your organization and then you react, you're too slow. You need to be proactive. This means you need to know how hackers work, how hackers operate, and prevent anything they do even before they start working. Okay, this is the most important part. You need to think like a hacker. You need to think creativity. You need to be creative as possible. And basically, this is the best tip I can give you before hopefully you join the bootcamp in the upcoming weeks or month. Be creative, have initiative. This means that try and study as much as possible. You have Google, you have a lot of resources you can use to find stuff. Go and research on your own. This is the best tip I can give you. Everything that I've learned is basically stuff that I've learned alone. I tried and Google stuff and go from one forum to another blog and basically go from one place to another. And this is the best tip I can give you. That's it. So questions. Yuval, are there any questions?
Hello, everyone, again. I see that this was a very busy session with lots of questions. It's amazing. I hope we can tackle most of them. And let me just start by saying that some people here are asking, can I review this? Yes, this is recorded. If you got late and you didn't hear the beginning, all webinars are recorded and you can access the recording through the same link. In any case, we will send you an email with all the info that you need to follow up on this webinar. Okay. Thank you very much for this very intense webinar. We've been having some really cool feedback. So I think we can go through some of the questions, even though Yuval has been answering most. Some we can also live here, right?
Yeah. So first of all, can you?
Sorry, I don't think we can hear you very well. I don't know if it was just me.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining the session and asking all those wonderful questions. It shows that you're right the right person to join our bootcamp, because this is bootcamp for curious people and it is amazing. Basically, I've built the one way in which we can perform and understand how this world of cybersecurity works. It always this continuous space in the hacker and the defender. And this is magic in it. Always need to think creative. So thank you so much, Abiel, for demonstrating this. I would like to share some of the questions with everyone. A lot of questions about the salary. So my best answer would be just, I'll try to go back. Can you hear me well now?
It is better, even though there's a little bit of echo. I don't know if you can do something about it.
Let me see. Meanwhile, if you have more questions, you can write them in the chat.
Yeah. Let me just tell you guys something that I already said in the chat. I know there are a lot of questions here related to the bootcamp. The goal today was for you to have an overview or for you to have a taste of what it's like to work with cybersecurity, to have a taste on the content that you can have, and to put you a little bit your mind in practice with these, let's say. But we were going to have an open house in a few days to answer all the bootcamp related questions. So we're going to tackle the admission process, what you need to know, what you can get out of the bootcamp, what is the process for you to enter while you are there, how the classes are taught, and what you can do after the bootcamp, pricing, financing, everything will be covered in this open house. So I know that some of you tried to make questions today, and I'm glad. I hope I could answer some of those, so that probably we won't have time to answer all of them. So if you can, and if you want, I left the link, sorry, for the open house here in the questions, in the Ask a Question section, so you can sign up there. In the end, I will also leave an email. I know that someone asked for you to ask further questions about the bootcamp if you already have some questions in mind. Okay. In any case, you have here the green button below the videos, which has information about the bootcamp and, well, everything related to the bootcamp really. Okay. In any case, open house will be the best place for you to ask all your questions. I guarantee you. Sorry, we want to go with some question, Yuval?
Can you hear me better now?
Perfect.
Okay, great. So I would go back to the questions regarding the salary. I would say the best answer would be to look online, because it really depends on the country you're in. So the best thing you can do, you can just overview the job roles in which we provide in the bootcamp for our graduates and look for the average salary in your country. Another question that popped out in the chat that was, I think, perfectly describing our bootcamp is, hi, I've always thought you need to be some kind of genius to be good at cybersecurity. Is it right? So this is exactly the place to say, everyone with a passion, with the ability to learn and explore, with the will to join to the good side, have all the qualities and skills he and she needs in order to join this industry. This industry is built from passionate people who really care about doing something good and protect their communities. And eventually, I would say that this job is not only technical, but it also has a lot of meaning, because this world is getting more and more connected, more and more vulnerable. It's not only computers anymore. It's airplanes, it's traffic lights, it's healthcare. We can see this in this Corona time we're facing. It's crazy how vulnerable people's lives become based on cybersecurity world. Means there's the need of the good and the right people joining this industry is enormous. And this is just the right time to do this step and to change your life into the better place you can go to. So we would really like and expect all of you to consider, and we'll be more than amazed by all of you joining our bootcamp, because we really need you in this industry and we would love to have this process with you. You'll need no previous skills. You don't need any background, no programming, no knowledge. You just need the will and the ability to take yourself to the next step, to work hard and to become the better you. So thank you all so much for joining in. We in Cybint and Ironhack can't wait to see you here for the Q&A session and the registration file, which is just right here below. And if you still have more questions, we'll be more than happy to answer in the Q&A session.
Yeah.
I've got one more question that's repeated herself a lot of times, so I'll just answer this and then I'll finish. The diploma or certification. Basically, we in the bootcamp will provide you all the skills, the background, the knowledge, everything you need in order to practice a job interview and to get into your first position, junior position level in the cybersecurity. We are aligned with the NICE framework issued by NIST, which is a very famous framework in the world. It's American framework regarding the cybersecurity world. So you can read more about this online, but we will provide you this certification as a cybersecurity specialist at the end of the bootcamp, in which you can use in your resume and for your future employers. So this is a great opportunity to get this certification. I think that's it for me. I hope I answered all your questions in the chat. I'll try to answer more of them now. Thank you so much for joining in.
Yeah, a few questions here. I'm sorry that we are not answering all of your questions today regarding the bootcamp itself. Again, we will tackle all of these in the open house today. We would like to focus a little bit more on, let's say, technical questions, since we have here some experts today. In any case, let me just answer you that the course will be in English, okay? As for now, I know some people here from France asking, it will be held in English. And I know that you've already answered about the diploma, and I don't think I should add anything else. And if you come to the open house, we will let you know we have some possibilities of financing. So please come to the open house to know. Or I will leave in the end here an email for you to ask those specific questions in the end. Okay. In any case, we have here still some questions. Maybe Yuval or well, one of you can answer.
I can see one more question here. This I think is really important. One question saying, why company should hire someone with holding a private certificate, where a lot of have masters by recognized universities. So basically, our bootcamp is exactly what you need in order to get hired. We give you a lot of practical experience. We practice everything you do, technically perform it. We explore physical malwares. We see physical things running, and we actually perform them on our computers inside Cyber's platform. University certificates usually take way more time because there's a lot of things going on and capturing those really important knowledge you need. We provide you the full package of everything you need to know and every skill you need to have, either personal skill or content related, in order for you to have all the knowledge you need to have in order to apply for those few job roles we are providing you. You can see the 3 job roles, I think, in the website. You can explore more about them, the salaries, the need, and we will give you everything you need real fast. So everything is super relevant, super accurate, and we'll be there to support you all along the process. This is not just us dropping you there. We'll be there to facilitate you and to facilitate your experience. So we'll be there to support you all the way.
Yeah, so you will have financing options. Oliver here is asking. But in any case, and you do get certification, you get a certification, as Yuval explains, a private certification from our part. In any case, guys, these questions, I promise you, they will be answered in the open house a bit more specifically. Do you have any further questions related to the webinar itself? Were you left with any questions regarding what was taught here today about the content itself? If so, we have about 1 minute or so to answer those questions. And I'm glad you're asking all of these, even though we're not answering all. And or I already left here, someone asked on the topic where I left the link for the open house, an email that you could use to ask further questions about the process and any specific questions that you have. I left the email there, so you can ask those questions in there. In any case, yeah, I think that's it. Do you have anything to add, Yuval or Aviel, about what you taught today, or anything that you'd like to add?
I think I'd just say one more thing. Eventually this cybersecurity, it's like a big topic everyone is really intimidated by. Like, I'm not that kind of tech person, I can't handle all those tools, it's like Chinese for me. So basically all of those big cybersecurity experts started at zero knowledge, right? Each and every one of us, either me and Aviel, which is like, I'm amazed by his knowledge. Every day I see him in the office. Each and every one of us started from nothing at some point. And this ability to take this step forward and decide I can do this is the only thing you need. I started from zero, each and every one of us, and we did this way. So do you. We'll be able to provide you everything you need because we were there too. We know what you're going through. We prepare you for all of those things, and we'll be there in order to support you because we've been there too. So don't be afraid to do the step. Just do it. Just go for it, and we'll be there for you all along the way. So no worries.
Yeah, just one last thing. Someone here is asking, isn't it best to have prior networking knowledge? I don't know if you want to answer this one. I just want to say that you don't need, I don't know if this is the specific question that you're asking, but you don't need any background to enter this bootcamp. Even if you've never coded in your life, if you are going to have a pre-work, and this will be explained in the open house, you will have a pre-work, which is pretty much, let's say, a pre-course before the big course. So everyone can stay in the same level before starting the bootcamp. So you don't need to have any backgrounds. You will be given every tool that you need to learn in the bootcamp. Okay, so yeah. Thanks, everyone. I don't think we have time for any more questions. I don't know if you want to add something else, Aviel or Yuval, before we go.
I see that there are some questions about, I hate math, can I succeed in this area? That's actually a good question. You can do it, it's okay, don't worry. You can do everything. You just need to, be creative and have the passion. And to be honest, you can do everything. If there's anything technical that is missing, feel free. We're available to help. And of course, use your best friend Google, which is definitely helpful. Also, someone asked about why Windows and not Linux. To be honest, I usually use Windows for normal stuff and Linux for hacking stuff. Currently, I think that Windows is easier to show in terms of presentation and webinar, but on a very high perspective, I usually use Linux. So you will know in the bootcamp how to use both Windows and Linux, and to be honest, a lot of other stuff. So thank you.
All right. I think this is it, guys. We don't have a lot of time for more questions. Again, let me just remind you of where you can find more information. Here in the green button, there's a link for the cybersecurity bootcamp. You have all the info that we have in our website about the bootcamp itself. In the open house, we will be answering these questions. We have someone from each part of the process, let's say, answering all your questions. I left a link here in the Ask a Question section. And in there, I also left an email that you can use if you have more specific questions about the admissions process. So you can ask us and we will take our time to answer you, okay? So I think that's it. Thank you so much, Yuval and Aviel, for being here today. I hope you learned something today that you were not expecting. And I guess I'll see you guys in a few days. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Raquel, and thank you, Yuval.
Thank you.
Thank you.